Here we are. It's Sunday. You know what that means? We're going to be talking about real estate and what's going on in the real estate world. There's all sorts of things going on, and Goldman Sachs has readjusted their predictions, their forecast for what's going to be happening in 2023. I have a special guest on this week, but before we get into our guest, I want to give you guys a little heads up. So for quite some time, over a year now, there's been a link in the description here for foreclosure.com. Foreclosure.com has all the foreclosures you could possibly think of when it comes to, finding anything that's off the market, even things that are not on the MLS and that your real estate agent knows about. So the thing is this is a little hack I want to tell you. So if you use my affiliate link that's on there, it gives you a discount for foreclosure.com so you can make your bids. But here's the little hack, the little heads up. If you sign up for their email list, telling them the exact area you want to move to, before you even sign on the dotted line to get the use my affiliate link for the discounted rate, get on their email list first. Then use my affiliate link so you can make your bids, because that's going to save you some money. I found out that hack from an investor. He's like, oh, I didn't even sign up for it until I found a house I wanted. Then I signed up for it. So I didn't have paid for 3 months. So I'm just trying to save you guys some money. So go on there, sign up, build yourself an account, get on their email list until you find the house that you want. Then use my affiliate link to use the discount. So that way you get it what you need in a very short period of time, and you can cancel at any time. So I just want to let you know they have been a sponsor for me with the affiliate link for quite some time, but I don't promote it that much because I'm like, man, it's kind of expensive to go search for houses if you're trying to find something inexpensive with a foreclosure. But when I found that hack out, I'm like, I'm going to let the audience know. I just think that's awesome. Anything to save you money, man. Anything. So we're going to be talking about, what Goldman Sachs said. And someone actually put out a video about it. And as soon as I even said that I wanted to talk about Goldman Sachs, and in this particular article that came out, he had put out a video about it that day. We're in real estate royalty. Our guest is Sir Ashley. That is his real name. Sir Ashley is coming in to us from the Carolinas. The Carolinas.
Yes. Hello.
Hello there, sir. I have to point out something. Sir Ashley's been in the real estate game for quite some time, and he's seen some funny stuff. But I have to point out something. You threw some shade out on your community post. If Eddie could pull up that community post real quick. And how did you find that screenshot in the first place?
That? It was actually, I'm in a YouTube group, right? And a real estate YouTube group, and another gentleman sent it because he had posted it on his. And I'm like, no, this needs to be shared more. So I shared it as well, simply because it needs to be out there, in my opinion.
So I've nicknamed these people the housing crash bros, and they make a lot of content, just constantly drilling in that we're in a housing crash, which hasn't happened yet, or that it's coming. And then they change the narrative of at some point we're going to have a housing crash. Yes, that's like saying at some point we're all going to die. It's like at that. But the reason why they do it, and the reason why they continue to do it, and why they want it to be a thing, is because they're making $57,000 a month, not making housing crash videos. $57,000 a month making scare videos about a housing crash.
Fear sells. Fear sells. Yes.
Fear sells. And I would never, I have never called out anybody's name or anything, but I already knew they were making bank doing those kinds of videos. I knew that, but I refused to do it. If I was, and don't get me wrong, YouTube is income for me. Don't get it twisted. But I knew if I really wanted to really just rake it in, I would make those kinds of videos. But I refuse, because I'm not going to lie to people. And then people say, well, the reason why you don't do that is because you're trying to sell houses and you're a real estate agent. Well, little do people know is I don't sell homes anymore. I have other people that sell homes for me. I don't do that. I work for you guys. This is my job. Is making content for you guys. And I could be making a lot more money if I made false videos about reporting a housing crash, and I just won't do that because it isn't here yet. There is no housing crash, and I won't do it until there is one. So
Exactly. And it's not even that. I understand being ahead of the curve. I like being ahead of the curve.
right, that's different.
But it's one of those things that every other week they have
Hmm.
an explanation on why it's going to crash. And then
Right.
2, 3 months go down the line, nothing happened. But this summer, one of them was supposed to crash 30% by this summer. And I think summer came, left. We're in winter now, and
Hmm.
prices, there was a 10% increase year on year. So
Right.
here we are.
Yeah. Here we are. And I mean, I just won't do it. And I know that I get a lot of guff in my comment section saying that I'm lying for enormous reasons or whatever. And I'm not. I honestly just want to give out good information. There's no skin in my game in order for you to buy or purchase a house or to watch my videos. I want to be honest. At the end of the night, I want to be able to lay down and know that I did the right thing by people. So
Yeah. And they don't. So you don't practice in the field or anymore. I do.
hmm
In the field every
hmm
single day. Actually, after this interview, I'm going to go show a house.
hmm
I would love if prices came down significantly. That
yeah,
means more people and
be able to afford
limits
it.
could afford it. Credit limits
Right.
stay the same and all that. Could afford it. I would love for that to happen. It's just not what I see in the data and what I'm reading. So it's one of those things to where prices going up, houses being more unaffordable only makes it more difficult for me to do my job.
Correct.
I want prices to come down, but that's just not what the data is pointing to.
Right, right. Well, let's get into our Goldman Sachs
Yes.
article here. You read this. Did you?
Yes.
Is this the video you did? Is this the
This
article you
is
did the video on?
Yep, this is it.
Oh, you know this better than anybody.
Yeah.
Somebody said that it's raining cats and dogs in Louisiana. My whole backyard is flooded right now. When
Oh
we
man.
went to the mall to have family pictures done this afternoon, the whole state is flooded. Part of I-10, was it I-10? Yeah, I-10 is flooded. Goldman Sachs says 4 U.S. cities will suffer a 2008 crash in home values. So 4 cities.
4 whole cities. But what they don't, well, we're going to get into it. They
Mhm.
also in there and caveated, they snuck in there that they revised their prediction for the overall market.
Yes, they
So
did.
it's
Yes,
just
they did.
it's funny how they led with the crash, right? Because it
Yes,
sells.
because it sells.
But
Right.
then in there they caveated what their former prediction was. So
So Goldman Sachs wrote to its clients earlier this month that it predicts 4 U.S. cities will suffer the most catastrophic dips, drawing comparisons to the 2008 crash. San Jose, California, San Diego, California, Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona will likely see noticeable increases before drastic decreases of more than 25%. So they're still going to be getting increases before they decrease. Okay.
and that's the
Yeah. These declines will be similar to those witnessed during the Great Recession in 2008. Home prices across the US fell 27% at that time, according to the S&P CoreLogic Chase Schindler Index. Okay. Eddie's scrolling down a little bit. Um, our 2023 revised forecast primarily reflects on our view that interest rates will remain elevated levels longer than the current priced in, with the 10-year treasury yield peaking in 2023, the third quarter. Goldman Sachs strategists wrote, according to the New York Post, as a result, we are raising our forecast for the 30-year fixed rate mortgage to be 6.5 for the year ending in 2023. So they're saying that the interest rates at 6.5, that's what it's going to end up for 2023. Right now, we're in the fives, if I'm not mistaken. In 2022, mortgage rates jumped from 3% to 6%. The national decline should be small enough to avoid broad mortgage credit stress, with a sharp increase in foreclosures nationwide seemingly unlikely. Do you hear that? There's not going to be a wave of foreclosures that hit the market. I know what the housing crash bros have been telling you, but that's not true. That said, overheated housing markets in the Southwest Pacific Coast, such as San Jose, Austin, Phoenix, and San Diego, will likely grapple with a peak to through declines. What does that mean? Peak to
peak
through?
trough, peak to trough.
Thank you. Peak to
It's
trough?
highlighted. It's hard to, yeah. Peak to
Peak to
trough.
trough. Thank you,
Yes.
because I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say it out loud. Declines over 25%, presenting localized risk of higher delinquencies for mortgages originated in 2022 or late 2021. The bank says that these cities will suffer the lowest prices this year because they become too detached to fundamentals during the COVID-19 pandemic housing boom. Goldman Sachs also forecasts that many Northeast, Southeast, and Midwest markets could see a milder correction. So, what do you think? So, tell me what you got from this.
What I got from it is that they their former prediction is not panning out. So they went ahead and corrected it to make it very specific to just four cities out west and south. I mean, sorry, out west and southwest. So
Their former prediction was 30%. Was it
yes,
not
it
across the board?
was across the board. Across the
Right.
board, they saw a huge price correction, and now they just see a huge crash, peak to trough, 25% in those four markets. But it's weird that they said they will see an increase and then a decline. So if it
Mhm.
increases some more and then goes down 25%, that just puts us back to 2021 levels. Like
Right.
it's weird how that works. It puts us back in 2021 levels, but yet we won't have 2021 interest rates.
Right. But like they were talking the treasury yield peaking and then it won't go, Ryan had said Ryan, who's a lender who
Mhm.
literally lives, drinks, breathes the market, right?
Yes, yes.
He predicted that he thinks that it's gonna be going to the lower fives. He doesn't think
Yeah.
like he said he can't predict it a whole year out. It's impossible to do that. Anybody that does that is silly. But he doesn't see it going, above, in the sevens or eights by the end of this quarter.
No, I don't see that either.
Mhm.
Um, one thing, I got a lot of flack. I was recently on Yahoo Finance, and I
Uh-oh.
said, and I
Stop.
said, I said during the
Thanks for the
interview
super sticker, Shirley.
that
Sorry.
interest rates will come down to the low fives, but it'll be harder to get a mortgage simply because of restrictions on credit and everything. And I got a lot of Twitter messages and emails saying, how do I see that? And just based on the economy, I don't see interest rates going up. I think we've seen the peak of interest rates, which was in November, I believe, October, November, which was 7.3, 7.4. And I think we're going to be in the low sixes, if
We
not
got in the
high fives.
eights. We got in the eights.
Really, I
I can't
I have
remember when
people.
it was, but
Yeah,
we were in the just skimming the eights. Like maybe it was like 7.79 or some garbage like that. But it
I
was
got you.
yeah, because people were like, well, I can do the 2-1 buy down and have
They are still pushing the 2-1 buy down very hard here, and I try to advise my clients, if you can try to de-risk your 30-year mortgage. That's one of the benefits we have in America, is that we have a 30-year mortgage. A lot of the
mhm,
other countries are in trouble because they don't have that. I say
correct.
try to de-risk it to where if you can have a fixed payment for 30 years, don't do the 2-1 buy down, because you don't know what's going to happen to you and your own personal situation or the economy in those at once that time is up.
I I preface it as this.
Mhm.
If you're just making the payment with the 2-1 buy down, then don't do it. Like
Yeah.
if they're like, "Oh, if I do get the 2-1 buy down, then I can afford it." Don't do it. But if you can still afford that payment, if it was at the original interest rate,
Yeah.
and like you're not going to have to depend on that or to like lose your life, then that's on you. But if this is the only way you can afford the house with a 2-1 buy down, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a really poor decision.
And the way they approve people now, they
Mhm.
actually have to approve based on the final number. So that's a good thing now, because back in the crash, financial recession, they were approving people based on the reduced amount. That's if you passed that, you were able to get
Mhm.
get the loan. Now you have to be able to be approved for that final number, and then just consider those first 2 years as gravy.
Yep. Yep. Look at this. So Eddie's showing the interest rates in January 27th at 6.228.
Hmm.
15-year is at like really low fives, 5.1.
Yeah.
So, yep. If you can do a 15-year loan, man, that's awesome.
Yes, I see Debbie mentioned that 15-year. I do like the 15-year.
Hmm.
How personally, this is what I say. Again, I don't like risk, right?
Right.
So I try to say the 30-year, but see if you can
Pay it
do a
down.
principal payment on the
Correct.
15th of the month to where it's like half of your mortgage payment just to principal on the 15th of the month. So that way you can still pay it in 15 years, but you're not obligated to have to pay it in 15 years.
Yeah, because
So
you never know what's going to happen in life.
exactly. Yeah.
You never know. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely do that. We bought our first house, they always said, "Oh, just make one extra payment a year." And Eddie and I had done that, made one extra payment a year.
Yeah.
So when we got our buy, like our paperwork that said how much we owed on the house, I was like, "Ooh,
Mhm.
we paid off way more than I thought."
I love it. I love it.
You
Yeah.
know, that was our first house. We didn't know. We just listened to everybody else. Tell us what to do because we know nothing.
No, I like it.
Yeah. The thing is that these Goldman Sachs predictions come out, and they're in the investment uh, field, and they're trying to get their biggest investors to make the most money. And
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like some of their predictions are in a way to offset what they're trying to do for themselves.
Yeah.
So they put that information out there to get people scared so that there's more investment properties for the bigger investors to buy.
Hmm.
I mean, call me a conspiracy theorist. I'll put on my tinfoil hat. But sometimes I feel like when they put these numbers out, I'm like, where are they getting this from? Like, are they pulling like some of the stuff they even say? I'm like, this isn't from the National Association of Realtors. Where
Yeah.
is this number from?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And like, it's like they have this secret room of like mad scientists that are coming up with magical numbers in order for them to predict these things. I don't know.
The
It
secret
just
cabal. They got a cabal back
oh,
there
don't
scheming things
stop
up and all
it.
that.
Stop, not gonna do it. I do think though the big investors are
Hmm.
tragic. Like I put out a video on Tuesday, and I've always said that these bigger investors are trying to make the younger people into permanent renters, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I really
I
do.
agree. I
Oh,
agree.
you do? Oh,
I do.
okay.
No, no, I totally agree. It's just it's a more solid investment for them. They get to capitalize in so many different ways based on owning a home, and and younger people are feeding right into it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that I
It's up to us
understand.
though. I will, this is like completely, it
Yes.
is up to us as people, real estate professionals,
Mhm.
to put out there what programs are available to people that either A, live in your area, because there's always
Yeah.
area specific programs for first time home buyers.
Mhm.
If there's any federal backed money that's available to first time home buyers, we need to let them know about zero down
Yeah.
financing options. It's up to us. And in order for young people to understand that, we're going to have to get a lot more education out there, because they just don't know. They just don't know. So
Yeah.
that's
It's funny
that's
you
on
mentioned
us,
that.
and we have the
Later,
ability now.
yeah,
We have the ability now more than ever to get that
to get in
information
front of
correct.
them and share it with them. So it's
Mhm,
funny you say that. I have, it is 5 to 6. I have 5. I haven't finalized the 6th program. It's going to be a
mhm,
video later this week for down payment assistance, federal, and
mhm.
then also 2 or 3 for the North Carolina, South Carolina region. If you all wanted to pay attention to the channel later this week, I have that video coming out.
Yeah, and he throws some shade on his community posts.
Yeah, I
Chronicle
just,
One has a
yeah,
question though, real quick. It
yes.
says, "I understand there's no wave of foreclosures expected. However, whatever happened to all the COVID folks who delayed their payments?" I will give you my answer, and then you can give yours, Sir Ashley.
Yes.
So, there was a large number, and this is when it first all began, and I was the first one to make a housing crash video because I saw the
You
number.
started it.
I did. I really did. The number of people that signed up for forbearance at
Yeah,
that time was astronomical. It
yeah,
was so big that I couldn't even wrap my mind around it. I'm like, have all these people lost their job? This is insanity. So, as the dust settled from that, what had happened was a lot of these larger banks were automatically enrolling people into the program because people were calling to just get information about it. Like, hey, is this available for my mortgage? And they'd say, yeah, it's available. And they'd say, okay, well, thanks. I just wanted to know. And they'd hang up the phone. And then sure enough, they were automatically enrolled. This happened to thousands of people. It wasn't just a freak thing. It happened through a lot of people, through Bank of America, through Wells Fargo. They were automatically put on that. And they never asked about it. They just asked a question and then they automatically rolled in that. So those people have gotten it all straightened out. So sure enough, not too long after that, you saw a wave of people getting off of that program. And then there was people that stayed all the way through, but like the amount that stayed on it all the way through are now back to paying their regular payments. Now, I want people to know that those payments aren't forgiven. They're tacked to the end of the loan. They still have to pay. They just kind of got a break for 2 years, which is kind of nice if you're trying to save some money or you were in a financial pickle or you happened to get sick during that time and had to take time off of work. But it wasn't like a total like wash. They actually have to pay it back. And not only that, some people restructured their loans altogether. They said, oh, well, look, this isn't working out for me. Is there a way I can restructure my house payments since I've gotten so much equity in my home now? And they did. So just, that's what happened. There isn't that many people that are still on that plan. And those people that are off that plan, it didn't turn into a wave of foreclosures because the job market has remained very high and very strong all this time. So yeah, we just don't have them. Actually, we're still at record. We still haven't, our numbers for foreclosure rate is still lower than they were pre-pandemic.
Most definitely. I think you explained that perfectly. They're just tacked on to the end of their loan. And a lot of those people ended up refinancing and taking advantage of the historically low interest rate. And then also a lot of people ended up reworking their loan to where some of them actually got a 40-year mortgage, which you can debate pros and cons for that. But so yeah, there's not going to be the wave of foreclosures due to that deferment.
Apparently, I did a poll question and it didn't make sense. I put that poll question out really quick. I was just asking if you think home prices are going to rise, or drop, yes or no. So we put yes and no. It didn't make sense. I'm sorry.
It was a trick question. It was a
trick question. You caught me.
Yeah, just wanted to see if you're on your toes.
Sometimes the wheels are spinning, but the hamster's dead for me. I try. I really try. LB has a question. If you want to rent out your current house, a $670,000 house bought a few years ago with a rock bottom rate, and move somewhere new, would you wait? LOC locations in DC suburbs, rates seem static or going up. What would you do?
Yeah, I personally, I would never sell that home.
Me either.
I would never sell it. If you have a 2, 3, or 4% interest rate right now, do not sell. Don't sell it. Rent it out, and the loan officer is going to look at your debt to income and look at the home payment. And I say, as long as, not even I say, it's the numbers, so long as you can rent it out for at least 125% of your mortgage payment, it's a complete wash on your debt to income ratio. So there, it's just looking at what you make and if you can afford the new home that you want to move to. So I would do that.
People are blaming my cat for my bad question. For a bad question. Eddie edited the poll because he didn't want to make me look bad. Thank you, Eddie. But I will say that 31% said yes. Yes. And 27% said unsure, and 14% said they didn't care. I don't know how to answer the survey. I'm sorry, Dan. Some days I'm a dingbat.
What's going on, Knight? Thank you.
Oh, Knight, thank you very much for my two favorite YouTubers. If you guys have any questions, just make sure you type the word question in the chat, and then you can we'll answer them live. If you're listening on the podcast and you do want to ask a question, you can always email me at info@KristinaSmallhorn.com. Just email me your question and I'll read it aloud on air, and we'll get you some answers from our our resident real estate royalty this week. We got Sir
Oh
Ashley here
man.
this week. These predictions that a lot of it isn't just the housing crash bros.
Yeah.
Yahoo News was infamous for this last year, saying that by this time this year we would be down 20, 30, 40%. What's going to happen next month? I mean, next when it doesn't happen, because what I'm seeing right now, and this is what I worry about for a lot of people that are jumping into the market because they've read these headlines now that they see that the interest rates are coming down. They're first time home buyers and home prices aren't going down for them. Matter of fact, now, and I talked to somebody in New Jersey, Jackie Baker. They're starting their whole process of bidding wars again for the
Yes.
least expensive homes. What's going to happen? I mean, Ryan LaRusso, who was he was here last week, he said that he doesn't believe there's going to be like a boom like before. And of course there won't be, but I still worry for those lower end homes. How
Yeah.
high are they going to go? What do you see? And what are you thinking, Sir Ashley?
Yeah. So when people ask about the housing market and what's going to happen, I don't think we don't have enough detail when we answer the question because there's several housing markets in my opinion. There's the first time home buyer housing market, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's the move up buyer, and then there's the luxury market. And I believe for the first time home buyer market, it's going to be very competitive. That's what I'm already seeing right now, actually, in the Charlotte area, and every area is different. But I say the median price or just below the median price in your area is getting very competitive in the sense where I'm seeing offer deadlines being put into place, multiple offers. But with that said, with those offers, all of those offers, at least right now, they're still asking for some kind of seller credits or seller concessions.
Right. Well, that's
So
good.
yeah, so we're not going over and over, over ask and waiving inspections and all that. That is a
Exactly.
positive change. That's a great change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my fear is if we're experiencing this in January, what's going to happen come March or
Spring.
April?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I'm not, I want to tell everyone one, be cautious, right? But be
Mm-hmm.
wise, and make sure don't just do something just because everybody else is doing it. Make sure the home fits your needs and that you're protected when you make that offer. And the best thing right now is to make sure you get seller concessions where they're paying you to pay down the rate to where interest rates right now is what 2.22 I think we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the if you get seller concessions to buy down the rate, you can do a 2-1 buy down or a permanent buy down, which I recommend. You can
Mm-hmm.
see your rate easily in the fives or even low fives. Uh, so I say definitely do that right now and get your housing need taken care of because
Met.
if I say Matt, because it says as soon as you go further into the spring, the first time home buyer is going to see a lot more competition, unfortunately.
You know, that happened with the last housing crash too. Like so the last housing crash in 2008, they started giving out these government programs. Like you get like, first it was like 3,000, then it was
Mhm.
6,000. Then I think it went up to, it was like, they gave all this thing to
Yes.
encourage first time home buyers because those are the only people that were going to be buying. Well, those houses that would have been in that first time home buyer, I mean, they were going like hotcakes. They were going really
Yeah.
quickly. I mean, they were able to negotiate. Don't get me wrong. They were able to get some closing costs and stuff. But those houses, you had to be very, very fast. So I predict that's what it's going to be. I still say that in some areas, though, are going to see like housing, like ridiculousness. I mean,
Yeah.
in our area, it's going to be more level
And
than other areas. So,
Zillow predicted my region, Charlotte
mhm.
area, to be the number one housing market for 2023. Now, even if it's not the number one, I have seen a lot of action already in these first few weeks of January, where December was, I'm not going to say it was a ghost town, but it was nowhere near the amount of action right now. And inventory still, while it's picked up since last year, we're still not even at pre-pandemic levels for inventory. So
Is
that's
that
another
because of
challenge.
interest rates? Do you think that was the reason, or
Yeah, for you mean the activity?
yeah, the activity was
Yeah,
increased
I
because
think I think it was the interest rate coming down because it came
mhm,
down a whole point from, its high.
mhm,
And that and then also when you couple in seller concessions to where you can get a rate into the fives, where
Mhm.
the normal rate maybe sixes, you can get a rate in the fives. And with actually, I can speak from my own clients, their landlords told them, hey, you're going to have a rent increase come January 1st or March 1st. So they are gung ho. They're like, if I'm going to pay an additional $400 a month, I might as well buy a property, and it still is in my budget to where I'm actually, they're going to end up paying less in mortgage than they are in rent. So
They had said that that rents were going to start coming down, but I'm hearing from more and more people that when they go to renew, they're still going up. They're
yeah,
still going up. I mean,
it
maybe
really
in
just
places like
depends on where
Austin.
you're at. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But metros where you're still getting an influx of people coming in,
Mhm.
uh, those rents are strong, if not going up. In the Charlotte area, we're going up. Now, if you're in a metro where people are leaving, then yes, they need to fill those vacancies, and you might be able to get a very good deal or a much cheaper rent than what you're paying currently. It just really depends on your locale.
Mhm. Adventure Edgar says, question, I found a lot zoned for single residence, but surrounding by multifamily units. How hard would it be to rezone an empty lot from an R1 to an R2? A fourplex would fit with the surrounding units in Texas. I don't know how it is in your area, but I know that in our area, if you show pictures, like for instance, we have some areas that are residential, and then right next to it is commercial. And if you can prove the fact that like this really should be commercial, a lot of times they're like, oh, that's right by the Piggly Wiggly and all that. Yeah, they'll just do it. They'll just do it. Usually, sometimes you have to go to like a board meeting, and plead your case on
Right.
why. But a lot of times they'll just do it. So I don't know how it is in Texas. I know here in my little town, I live in a very I live in a rural area. I hear cows in the morning and roosters. So it is not that difficult, but that will depend on your area. Can you do it in your area there
You
in
can
Sir Ashley?
Yes, no, you can definitely do it here in the Carolinas, and it's not that difficult. And in fact, they just had last year, they're trying to make a push for developers to make more multifamily units because there's such a dearth of inventory to where multifamily serves two purposes, right? You can put two families in there as opposed to at least two families, as opposed to just having one single family unit. So it's not that difficult. You may have to wait 2 months. That's about the timeline right now, but it's
Mhm.
not that hard here in the Charlotte area.
Developers are saying that they just don't make enough money, right? So they don't make enough money building smaller, more affordable homes.
Hmm.
What if we could convince a developer to build duplexes, right? So they would make that high price point of 400,000. Then a first-time homebuyer could buy that, then rent the second part out. Then they are not only they're having they have income producing property that would help cover their own mortgage. Not only that, they have like you can use that for all sorts of depreciation too.
Amazing. That's an amazing idea. That's an amazing idea. And
Mm.
it should, I would think you should incentivize builders or developers to do that.
I am thinking that I can talk to some developers in our area. I just thought of that while I was sitting here. I'm like, they don't want to build them because they're not going to make enough money, right?
Yep.
Those
Yep.
houses in the 200s, 300s, they're like, ugh, that's pittance, when they can make
Hmm.
them, you make the same house at the 400s and 500s and they make bank. Ooh, I'm
And
thinking.
another thing that goes into the cost of actually building
Hmm.
is the land. Right now, at least in the
Hmm.
Charlotte area, the land is the most expensive thing. And
Hmm.
then uh, the county and the state wants their money upfront to
Hmm.
be able to develop and build. So there's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy goes into it, and not in cost. And they want to be well compensated. I get it. We're a capitalist society, but if we it needs to be a change all around as far as not making it so cumbersome for them to build structures like you said.
Somebody asked a very legitimate question, but I'm going to get to it in just a second.
Mhm.
Make sure you put Kelly Hahn's question up and just right after this one, Eddie. Okay. Ernesto has a question. It says, got a home in 2021 for 270 at a 3% interest rate. Sell now or rent it out? Rent it.
Rent it. Do
Rent
not
it.
sell.
If you can,
Ernesto.
if you can,
Yeah.
yeah. If you can hold on and have another payment, yeah, rent it.
Ernesto, definitely, I would second that feverishly. Rent it out. You have a 3% interest rate. Rent it out. You can get creative. You can do a wraparound mortgage, owner
Mhm.
finance it, do something. Do not sell that 3% mortgage.
Agreed. Agreed. So I'm going to put it up here because Eddie probably doesn't. He's probably at the top. So Kelly, what does it mean not enough money? She's talking about builders. What?
Yeah.
Why are they saying they don't not making enough money? So if you take a lot, let's just say this is the lot and this is the house. If they put a 1,200 square foot house, they're not going to make nearly as much money as they would for making a 2,000 square foot house. And they can fit it on that lot and make a lot more money. And all that, if they really wanted to make more money on top of that, they would go ahead and double stack it so that you would have a 2-story house. Here in Louisiana, 2-story houses aren't that popular. So what they do is they add bonus rooms over the garage. So it seems even like more of an incentive, and they can raise the price even higher. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to build as much house on that lot as possible because they bought it for X amount of dollars. So if they can make more money building more on that postage stamp lot, that's what they're going to do. They make more in the long run. Instead of making $30,000, now they're making $75,000, and all they did was added a little bit more concrete, some sticks.
Correct.
That's why. And that's all it comes down to. They want to make that money. Mark says, question, since people invest in REITs, similar to like investing in the stock market, can a market crash cause a REIT sell-off, causing REIT purchase houses to flood the market and cause prices to tank? What is your opinion about this, Sir Ashley?
Yeah. So REITs typically occur when the commercial buildings.
Right, correct.
And yes, theoretically that can happen, but commercial is very unique in the sense that they don't typically have 30% 30-year mortgage either. So one of the biggest fears of our economy right now is, it's not talked about, is the fact the financing on commercial buildings right now with the interest rate as high as it is. So even without the whole sell-off and all that stuff, the fact that a lot of those commercial units are going to be up to be refinanced, and those numbers worked when interest rates were in the 3s and they got a 4%, it may not work when they're in the 6s and then it has to be a 7%. And so it's going to be something to keep your eye out on.
But REITs are also tied to properties like manufactured home parks, right? And they're making a killing because the big investors come in, buy it, use that as REIT investments, jack up the rents in those areas, and they literally have nothing to care about. Like, they don't care. They will kick out residents left and right. They don't care if you can't pay or not because they'll find somebody else that can. Yeah, they're tied to it. And the build to rent, the BTR, build to rent properties, they're tied to REITs as well. So it'd be interesting because the part that makes it interesting is the fact that those build to rent, they're all encapsulating. There's always going to be people in there renting those houses. So if the REIT market was to collapse, they're still making rent money.
Yes. I drove by a 200 unit build for rent community right here in Charlotte, unfortunately, today. I drove by it.
Eddie, you're gonna have to make that bigger for my over 50 eyes. Eddie, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Multifamily property is currently the highest performing asset classes. Oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is why we need to make more duplexes. As of the third quarter of 2022, multifamily vacancies are at a 4.4 5-year low, says Victor Callon, head of commercial real estate economics in Moody Analytics. Multifamily owners and investors aren't immune to the cost increases, but they can adjust rents annually, sometimes even monthly, to account for market changes. I mean, I know I saw in the chat, there's some people that are not really big on the idea of your first home being a duplex, but you don't have to live there forever, right?
No.
And when you start saving enough money and you can put down a nest egg for the next house that you purchase, you now have 2 income producing properties and you're helping your legacy by doing that. I think it's a brilliant idea. And I thought of it all my own.
It's definitely a brilliant idea. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the term house hacking. Mm-hmm. It's a way in which you can get half, or if not all, of your biggest expense paid for by renting it out and having somebody else pay your mortgage. And then again, this is when you're ideally when you're younger, first home. Not saying you're going to live there forever. You're going to do that for five, maybe 5, 10 years, and then hold on to it. Use that rental income, rent out that other side that you were living in, uh, and have it pay for itself, and then also pay towards some of your second mortgage for your other home.
This next quote, it says, demand for affordable housing and workforce housing far outweighs supply, regardless of the markets and economy. Commercial real estate should focus on finding creative ways to increase affordable housing, which includes modular construction, which this is all the things I talk about all the time.
You talk about it. You talk about it.
Modular construction, adaptive reuse of buildings like commercial real estate buildings could be turned into apartments and condos, mixed income properties, the use of historic tax credits, and unique capital solutions. Yeah. I have said, and I keep saying this, all the abandoned malls, all the abandoned malls across the United States should be turned into senior facilities. Because honestly, first of all, it protects the seniors from weather, and they like to go out and walk. And everybody remembers in the 80s and 90s, the mall walkers, right? The elderly people that used to walk around in the morning walking. And then you could put all the medical facilities at the bottom level, right? Or you could have the apartments at the bottom level, whatever you wanted. It's already set up. And you can have like luxury assisted living upstairs, I mean, it'd be genius.
I think it makes sense.
This Gen X girl would love it.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, you can put a Starbucks in there. You have your coffee there. You can get and then you can go get your X-ray done. Get some blood work done. Everything's in that contained area. You already got parking. I mean, that would be a cash cow.
No, I recently went to the mall to get coffee. I had an appointment to get coffee. Mall's right there, and you said mall walkers. Sure enough, as soon as I opened the door, you had two elderly man and a woman just power walking their ways right around the entrance.
Previous to my career in real estate, I was a hairdresser and I worked at the mall at the Regis. My first job was at a Regis in the mall. And those people, man, they were up at the crack of dawn. The security guys used to open it up, man. They were ready to go. He said in the morning, they were just already standing there waiting for him to open the door. As soon as they opened the door, they were just off to the races, man. Yeah. I would do it. I would totally live in the mall.
Noreen says that actually happened in Providence.
Correct. Yeah, I featured it on my channel.
You did. Nice.
Yeah, I did. I featured on my channel. It's a smaller mall, though. This was like the one in Providence is a real small mall. I'm talking about the big malls.
Okay.
Yeah. Converted the upper level into tiny homes. That's correct. Mall walkers are walking at the Sierra Vista Mall. Yep, in Arizona. Yep. That's a thing, man. Yeah, because you avoid the weather and like you don't get heat stroke and you don't have to worry about getting rained on or snow. It's a genius. Someone needs to listen to me. I have many ideas. I just don't have the capital to back them up. Mia's mommy says, question, Wayne Turner says you can use your equity in your current home to pay off debt and apply it towards the purchase of a new home and not have to come out of pocket. Is that really true?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, that? I want you to. So, I saw you smiling. Go for it, dude.
You can. It is true. Technically, you can do it. What I say, you have to be cautious of is to make sure that debt that you're taking out, the equity you're pulling out, see what that interest rate is going to be, because you may be in a worse position. You may be in a worse position once you take the money out of your current home, because you got to pay it back, right? You're going to take a loan on it. Find out what that interest is, because you don't want to end up in a worse position, or even right in the same position, because you may have paid off one debt, put down payment, but now you have a 7% interest rate on whatever money you just took out.
On face value, that sounds really good. But for your individual situation, you need to meet with a financial advisor to know if that's something you could possibly do. And if is your debt, how much interest does your current debt have, right? If your interest for your current debt is at 2%, and then you're getting a mortgage with a 5, 6, 7%, is that really, are you really offsetting your debt? No, you're not. You're just actually putting on yourself some more debt with more interest, You just work with a financial advisor on that.
You
Don't.
gotta definitely, every situation is different.
Mhm.
Financial advisor, and work through numbers, work through actual numbers, because again, it sounds ideally, it's a great idea. In theory, it works amazing. In practice, everybody's different.
Right. And there is a way that you could abuse the idea of doing
Yeah.
something like this. And it's happened. It happened to a friend and I. Eddie and I have a friend who falls for these kinds of things. And one time she refinanced her house, and this is before I knew anything about real estate. And she had me refinance my house so we could pay off some debt. Come to find out, when I really learned how to read closing costs, this is one of the reasons I got into real estate. When I realized how to read the closing settlement statement, I didn't know I was paying the lender upfront $10,000 out of the equity of my house. Had no
Yeah.
clue. And I embarrassingly admit that now. I've never told that out loud, but yeah, that guy
Yeah.
did us wrong. He also got arrested and went to prison for uh mortgage fraud. So there's that. So, but my friend is so trusting, and I was too, because I trusted her. And yeah, you got to work with the right people. So anything that looks good on paper until you put it into practical use, that is for sure. Nikki says, longtime renter for here at 33 years old in Seattle. They're raising my rent $400. We decided to look for houses, and there are about to close on a brand new Rambler with a seller paying closing costs and a 2-1 buy down.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, because now you're out of the rat race. Because those rents, man, I don't think they're going to get any cheaper.
They're not going to get any cheaper, and the fact that you have the 2-1 buy down, you know what your payment's going to be. You know what the end payment is going to be for 30 years if you don't refinance. You don't have to worry about rent increases, which having your biggest expense be firm and not adjusting is a huge luxury, because 33 years old, ideally your income is going to keep increasing, but your housing expense will stay the same. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing.
Yeah. Noreen has a question. It says, I love the duplex idea. The Southeast definitely sees more duplexes. Do you think it will happen in Charlotte, Sir Ashley?
If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said no.
Mm-hmm.
But the city council, city board, all of last year, they were fighting back and forth, and it finally passed back in August, September, that they have approved and giving incentives for more duplexes to be built in the next 5 years. So there will be more. Now, what more means, I don't quite know, because it could be two, could be more, right? So just not quite sure how many, but it will be an increase.
I don't think the opposition would be as nearly as high as, let's just say, condos.
Yeah.
Like in our area, most people live in 1-story houses. 2-story houses are not very common, right? And anytime you mention apartment complexes or condos, they're buildings that are very high. And people are like, that looks crazy here. It looks very silly to have these apartments at the end of the road when all of these are just single family houses. But if you were to do duplexes, they look like houses. There would be a neighborhood of houses that just so happens to be able to house multiple families. I think we could get a lot more, first of all, builders on that page, developers on that page, and I think the city councils and even the community as a whole would be on that page, because they wouldn't be as many renters. And that's what people always like. I don't like the build to rent people, because they don't, the people that live there aren't going to take care of the properties. If you had those duplexes, there's going to be one on one side in most cases that is going to be living on one side and renting on the other. So they have that vested interest in owning it. I think
Now,
that's a wonderful idea.
I think it's a wonderful idea. Wonderful idea. Yes, hit that like button, please. Definitely
Thank you.
appreciate that. However, I have to say, if you own a duplex, and this is one thing I learned from having rentals, is
Mm-hmm.
do not let the other person know that you're the owner.
Oh.
Don't let the other person know they're the owner. Reason why I say that, and have the property into a trust or something like that. Reason why I say that is because people don't. I'm not going to say they try to take advantage. They might not be doing it purposefully, but they can play on your emotions and human side to where good and darn well they would not go to a property management company every
Mm.
month saying something happened with their child or their husband or something like that. But because you're their friend and neighbor,
Uh-huh.
They feel like, oh, you got it. You own the home. You got it. You can take care of it. Something came up, I'll be a little late, and it happens every single month, uh,
Not
to
that
where
you don't
it
want them
becomes a
knocking on your
problem.
door at 11 o'clock because
Exactly,
their front
exactly.
light porch is
No,
out, you know?
don't let them know that
We
you're
had
the
one
owner.
renter that was like, "The light bulb's out
Yes,
out up front at
yeah,
10 o'clock at night." We're like, "Okay, we'll be over
yeah,
there tomorrow." "Well, it's out right
exactly.
now." "Okay." They knew we lived around the corner.
Yeah, yeah. So don't I say keep a buffer there. Keep a buffer, and you should be like, and if they don't know you're the owner, be like, yeah, that's a shame that they really do need to fix that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like put it off on somebody else. So
Yeah. Maybe if you have a friend in the area, they could be the fake landlord
yeah, yeah.
that picks up your rent.
Agreed.
Byron
Yeah,
Thomas said, "I find it funny they call it a house hacking thing today, or a house hacking's a thing today. In the 80s and 90s in Durham, North Carolina, people were buying up fourplexes and triplexes big time.
yeah.
That's because they're smart. Those are people that have some forthright thinking." If you have any questions, make sure you put the word question first and we'll put them up on the screen. Diane has a question. What are your thoughts about reverse mortgages? What is your thoughts, Sir Ashley? Because I have some thoughts.
Yeah, I was totally against it. I didn't think it was something that should be. I thought people it was people preying on the hard work and equity of our elderly citizens because they paid down, have so much equity in their property. However, just this past fall, I had somebody buy a brand new home with reverse mortgage, and it was explained to me. I'm not going to do a good job explaining it, but it was they are actually living in their home for the rest of their days and getting paid $300 a month to do so.
Right.
It is every situation is different, so I don't want to say a blanket don't do it,
Mhm.
but make sure, like anything, make sure you know what you're getting into. And this couple, they don't have any children, any heirs or anything like that, so it didn't really matter as far as the equity to them. It didn't even matter what happens to the equity because they're not passing it to anyone. Just make sure that it's a wise decision for you.
In today's world, with the cost of living, groceries, medications, insurances, um, to have a family loved one suffer like that when they have equity in their house because they feel like they're going to win some kind of championship at the end because they died and gave their loved ones some inheritance. I think that's baloney, right? So if that parent of yours that's worked their tail off to pay off their house needs help, and the reverse mortgage can let them live their last days more comfortably, and boohoo, you don't get as much inheritance that you thought you were going to get, too bad. I think that it has its place. If you don't need it, then don't get it. There's no
Mhm.
reason to. But if you need it, I think that it definitely has its place.
Yeah.
I know I've seen them, they go bad though. I've seen them go bad where like the the terms of the reverse mortgage when the loved one passed seemed like the bank definitely won a lot more than the people receiving money. They did receive money in the end, but the bank seemed to take a lot more than what was presented to them at the original time of signing for that reverse mortgage. So just be careful. What is a
Yeah.
rambler? Do you know what a rambler? It's a style of a home
Yes.
up in the north. Yeah, so here
There you go.
there's all sorts of different kinds of ramblers, but in my understanding, it's a smaller house on a foundation. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, on a
Yeah.
basement foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, a smaller home on a basement foundation. Some we here because we don't have them. We don't have houses that sit on a foundation like that. We call those ranch style homes. A ranch style home. Um, Question to the previous question. Will using a home equity loan to buy a new house double the payments?
I don't know if it'll double the payments, but I mean, would you have two payments?
Yeah, you'll have
Yes.
two payments.
Yes. Yes. You have two payments, but I don't know. Like obviously, numbers wise, I'm not sure what it will equate to, but you would do it definitely have two payments,
Correct. Yeah.
if not three.
Somebody said, I
The
thought a Rambler was a car.
you would be correct as well.
Is it? I didn't know that.
It is, I believe so. Yeah.
A Rambler is a car. I like so out of the loop on how much cars cost. I saw a car driving down the road. I said, Eddie, this car looks absolutely beautiful. He said, that car's $90,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's an SUV. That's you could buy a house. You could buy a house for $90,000. When I see
Yeah.
a car is a function for me. It gets me from point A to point B. There's no way in God's green earth I would ever spend $90,000
Yeah.
on a car. I it's a
I can't
function. It's a
can't
function.
lie. I've thought about it. I've thought about it. Actually, it was my birthday earlier this month, and on that my birthday, I woke up wanting a specific car, and so I thought about. Oh, actually, I not even thought. I went to go get it, but they didn't have any at the dealership. The one they had they just sold, and now there's only like two left in the country. So
Take that money that you were going to buy and buy yourself an investment property. Don't buy a
I
car.
yes, no. See, I love investment properties. I'm a huge believer in investment properties, but I like my toys as well. If I had this Rambler, I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Go get yourself one of, like, when you're a kid, get yourself
Yeah,
like the little box cars and you can look at it all the time. You put it in your pocket, man. You'd be like, look at my
yeah,
little car and look at
yeah,
this investment property that's helping my future.
yeah. Yes, very true, very true.
Yeah. Somebody asked a question I'm gonna have to look up. Hold on real quick. They said something that can equity be designated in a trust?
I don't know exactly what you mean, but you can own the property into a trust, and then technically, yes, the trust will own
Correct.
have the equity. So yeah, and I recommend, granted, talk to an advisor, but I recommend putting all your properties into a trust simply because you never know what's going to happen. And it's much easier to dispose of your property in a trust than do probate with a will and everything.
Yeah. If you're in Louisiana and you need a name of a guy who does trusts here in Louisiana, I got a guy. He's a matter of fact, he's on YouTube. If you look
Nice.
under my video that says naked ownership, and that just relates to the children getting ownership of the house when there is no will, you can see
Yeah.
his information in that video.
And think about it again. This is the attorney side of me.
Mhm.
If you get in a car accident or something like that, and the person that you ran into, let's say you ran into somebody, may not have any signs or symptoms or anything like that, but then they took your information. They go home and Google and see that you own three, four properties, or even a property itself. That accident that was benign, that they didn't have any issues with, all of a sudden their back starts hurting because they can find and go to the tax record and find that you own it. Whereas if you have the property into a trust, they
Mhm.
won't be able to easily see that you are the owner or know that you're the owner. So,
Do you put each property in a separate trust?
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
then you can also obviously have a trust to control the trust. But yeah.
So you have a main trust, and then it flowers out to other trusts like a
Mhm.
branch. Like
Yeah.
it branches out to other trusts with each property.
Yes.
Okay, and then, like, if anything happens to you, that trust goes to your.
So one thing I love about a trust is you have different steps, right? So
Mhm.
it can go to my wife, right? Or if say my wife passes before me, it can go to my kids, or when my kid, it goes to my mom until my kids get 18 or graduate college. Like in a trust, you can put different stipulations on it, whereas a
Mhm.
will, you don't really, it just passes. You don't really have those stipulations that you can add on or caveats you can add on it. So I think a trust, both of them are necessary pieces, but a trust allows you to put more parameters and have your wishes more set out in it.
It gives you more of a voice,
Yes,
what you're saying.
from from the grave. Yes.
Stacy wanted to know where you can buy a house for 90,000. So outside Baton Rouge in the Way Country, there are properties you can purchase for 90,000. Eddie's even
Mm.
going to pull one up. Look, he's like, "Where's this one in?" Uh,
Indiana.
Indiana, you can buy one for 45,000. There's some in like Macon, Georgia. I was looking at. They had houses in the hundred thousands. You could, like, really basically anywhere that's rural you can find
In
place.
the Triad region of North Carolina, you
Hmm.
can find cheaper properties. They're around Fayetteville, North Carolina, all throughout South Carolina. Columbia, you can get maybe not 90, but 100, 110. I saw some brand new ones for like 175 last year. It might not be 175 now. But yeah,
A brand new truck is $75,000 right now.
Yes, like it's like prices of cars are absolutely ridiculous right now. Trucks, cars, all of it. And Christian, I appreciate that. I wish I could sing like Darius Rucker.
I met him. I met him. Actually, I shouldn't say I met him. My husband met him, and
Nice.
like one thing he can't stand, if anybody ever meets this man, do not run up to him and go, Hootie, 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 because that's not his name. That's the name of his band.
Yeah.
His name is Darius, and he
Yeah.
hates when people call him Hootie. From Hootie and the Blowfish. If anybody didn't know. Question. Heard a business owner say every entrepreneur needs at least one investment property for cost segregation depreciation to write 100% income off, earned income off. Is that true? Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
yes. I say yes. Depending on how much you write off, I don't know what your plans are for that year and coming years, but yes, you definitely need an investment property. Again, America appreciates two things:
Real
business
estate.
owners, property owners.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a business owner, then you just need the property. If you have property, you just need to create an LLC. Like if you look at our Constitution and who everything was made to protect, business owners and property owners. Our tax code,
Yeah.
protect those two people.
I was very nervous when we bought our first investment property. It was one of those things that is like, we're going to do this right now. And I was like, and now I'm like, I'm so thankful for it
Yes.
because it offset a lot of taxes that we would have had to pay. I was like, thank God, because we would have been paying out the nose because we had those. Yeah. I like, if you can do it, make it happen.
Yes.
Sir Ashley, can a condo townhome be put under a trust account?
Yes.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Yes, it can. Well, we should get into this more often. People seem to be really interested in those trusts. I don't know if anybody knows, Sir Ashley is a jack of all trades. Not only is he real estate royalty, he's also he's a lawyer too. He's a realtor, a lawyer. Aren't you like invest? Don't you have your like?
Yeah, I invest as well.
Yeah.
I don't put it out there, but mortgage broker, right? I can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yep.
really put it out there. So, because that's not what my main thing is: real estate investor and day to day real estate investor and real estate agent. But I can do the other things.
Byron wants to know: can you practice law in Texas?
I cannot, but I do have a couple colleagues in Texas, a part of Texas, that I can definitely put you in contact with and find out what kind of lawyer you need.
Yeah, he's on YouTube, so you can be able to find him easily.
Okay.
Sir Ashley is.
Yeah.
So if you need that. What is Cary, North Carolina market looking like today, Ashley?
Yeah.
Sir
It is very competitive still right now. Prices have softened a little bit in the fall, like most of the country, but offers are picking up. That part of Raleigh is still in high demand simply because of where it's located. It is it's very competitive in Cary. Although you can find some things for like $350.
Somebody made a very. Jerry says, if our tax code protects landowners, then why do renters get to vote for additions to my property taxes? Because they're part of the community, Jerry. Hate to tell you, they still use community works. They still drive on roads to get to your job. They still have kids in the local schools.
And yeah, and it's one of those things to where, I mean,
buy stuff in your area.
If you remember our history, only people that could vote was property owners at one point.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So yeah, so that's not that. So yeah, everybody can vote. Everybody can vote.
Serenity Cal says, what is the best website for searching any property in the United States? Which site is most up to date? Do the big sites like Zillow, Redfin list every home? Okay, so you have to, as a real estate broker, you have to be enrolled in Zillow and Redfin and all those to nationally syndicate your listings. So no, all those big ones don't have every single listing under the sun. If you want to know more about that specific area and the listings that are available on the MLS, you need to contact a real estate broker or a real estate agent in the area, and they can put you on an automatic list. They filter it down for you, and then you get emails instantly as soon as the the house hits the market, you'll get an email to let you know. But they're all pretty much the same. Zillow's pretty much the same as Redfin. As what people don't understand is Zillow and Redfin are not designed for the consumer. It's actually a lead source tool to sell real estate agents leads. So whenever you fill that stuff out online and you click on properties, or you're going to go talk to the agent, most likely the agent that you get a hold of is not the one that has listed the property or knows anything about the property. They have paid for a space next to that listing itself in order to get leads. They pay for it, and they pay out the nose, by the way. They pay a lot of money to be in that space. So yeah, that's my answer. What do you say?
No, I agree. It is, I wouldn't say it's the best way, but it's the most convenient way.
Right.
But I said definitely contact a local agent to get a list. Talk to them about what you want, what you need, so they can filter a list for you, and you can get it updated either twice a day or every day, as far as what new properties, if there are any new properties in your search criteria.
Kernica One says, what is Aiken, South Carolina looking like right now? That market.
Yes, I am. I'm actually not familiar with Aiken. I'm not familiar with Aiken, South Carolina. That's a little too far for me, and I don't have a team member in Aiken either. So I cannot answer that question. I'm pretty ignorant regarding that question, that answer.
Oh, so Byron wanted to know practicing law. You remember he asked you the question about practicing law? He wanted to know if you knew anybody in Houston.
Yes, yes, I do. My YouTube page you can go to, or my email is sir@sirashley, sir@sirashley.com. Shoot me a message and I can put you in contact. Just tell me what kind of lawyer you're looking for in Houston. Funny story, actually, when I graduated law school, I thought about it was between between Texas, which was in Houston and Texas, or Nashville, Tennessee, and Nashville, Tennessee won out. So I went to Nashville and practiced, but I have a lot of colleagues still in Houston.
So Eddie was showing you, Byron, all you have to do is go to Sir Ashley's page on YouTube, go to the About section. Once you click on the About section, you can scroll down, and then it will give you his email address. You have to click on it and says view email address, and it will give it to you. So that's all you got to do. You just go to his website. People have put the link to Sir Ashley's website in the comment section below.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Lon. Appreciate you.
And if you guys are needing a referral in your area, you can always go to my website at KristinaSmallhorn.com and fill out that referral form, and I will get to it. One more question before we go, and some finishing words here. What was that last question you wanted to put up on the screen there, Eddie? Oh, Eddie's like showing my website. Look at him.
Yeah, we got to see that website.
Yeah, I got my feet in the air. My kids always die laughing. They're like, "Why are you showing your feet?"
I have to thank you.
Why?
For being so transparent with your website and the media kit and everything like that. It has come clutch for myself. So I appreciate you for being so transparent and just helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. I always try to help real estate agents. Matter of fact, if you're a real estate agent and you want some help with your YouTube channel, just go to Malcolm Lawson, and I run a YouTube channel called Real Estate YouTube Mastermind on Facebook. Join the group. I help everybody for free because I'm that person. Yeah. Have you heard anything about the Midwest housing market needing to buy this summer in North Dakota? It has remained even keel through this time that we've seen up and down. I mean, of course they saw increases, but they never saw the increases like Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. And they're not going to see big dips like they did. They're going to see in some of those other areas that went really high. You're going to be just fine. I think we're predicting a 3% increase in the Midwest, wasn't it?
Which is healthy. Like I would love for the day where it's like 2 to 5% increase every year. That would be amazing. This whole 10, 16, 20, 30% has been, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all.
No, they don't. But I do need to make dinner. And we do need to read some more articles. And I wanted to say thank you to you, Sir Ashley, for spending time with us and showing us your YouTube channel and sharing your ever so wonderful knowledge when it comes to the real estate market. Hopefully you'll come back and visit us again because it's always a pleasure.
I love being here with you, Eddie.
I try to harass you all the time.
Thank you.
For 3 weeks. I've been trying to get him on here for 3 weeks.
That is true. That is true. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions that you want or anything you want us to talk about on the next podcast, please put it in the comments section below. If you are listening to this as a podcast, just go over to my YouTube channel, or you can email me at info@KristinaSmallhorn.com your question, and I'll read it live on the air. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic week. If anything good comes about, I'll let you know. Yeah, you can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple. You can find me in all those places. So it's very exciting. Very exciting. We're in the podcast world now. Thank you, everybody. Yo